Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Okay, so yesterday, you know what? I just, wait, 1 second here. I just listened to yesterday um, as I was starting today. I was prepping and I didn't like the way the microphones sound. So, does it sound different to you guys? Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to check. Uh, huh. I guess it's okay. I mean, it's the USB. Okay. I thought it was maybe the built in microphone, but no, it's the other one. I think I'm going to swap mics though. I'm going to get another one because I'm not liking the way this one sounds. It, I don't know how to put it, but it's not a good quality sound. So that's going to be my next project is upgrading the microphone because it sounds kind of tin canish, if you know what I mean, like Dixie cup, and it sounds good. Oh, okay. Well, if you guys think this one is okay, never mind. But one thing, if you're a content creator, hey, Lydia Washington, by the way, and well, anyway, let me go to the very beginning and see who was here first. Yeah, when you're a content creator, I have learned one very important thing. People are very forgiving if the images and the video images, the photos and videos are not HD quality. People are forgiving about that. But it sounds like crap. If your audio is all messed up, that is a big no-no. So, Connie Bomber! Hey, Connie Bomber! Just noticed you there. Sorry to keep you up so late again. I cannot get my mojo. It is raining or it's threatening to rain. And I tell you, on a rainy day, I'm like a wet dish rag. I have absolutely no form or function. I just lay there um, and talk about what I'm gonna do, what I'm about to do. That's what I do. Is I just lay there and talk about what I'm about to do. Like, oh well, guess I'll do these dishes pretty soon. Hello, Marcy. Annie Bullard, you were here first. Marcy Foreman, Mary H, Lorna Williams, Linda Lala. Hello, Manello, Marcia Delvies. Did I? Yeah, I already said that. Elaine Parker, Susie Q. Um, Fancy. Hello to Paulette Claw. Let me see here. Brenda Lee. Wasn't that a singer named Brenda Lee? Right? There was a singer named Brenda Lee. Dorothy Ross with the hugs for today. Let me see here. Oh, what is that, Dorothy? I have a friend who asked if both eyes would be done at the same time. Oh, that must be, okay. All right. Let's see. Joan Commonwealter is here. And TRC Rug. Okay. Well, I'm just going to go all the way to the beginning because let us see if we can get out of here in a little over an hour again. Right, B10 Pal? Mo Shannon, Hazel Jones, Ma Jones. Why do Ma Jones sounds like somebody in a rocking chair on a porch with a double barrel shotgun sitting across the lap, just in case somebody think they're gonna start something. Big Mama, V Thomas. I don't know. I always think about that. I'm like, Ma Jones. Like Ma Jones, you don't want to mess with Ma Jones. And if you owe her some money, you better pay her. Ma Jones. Ma, don't make me look for you, Jones. And you know what? I'm sure Ma Jones is just the sweetest person. While I'm sitting up here creating a characterization out of a name, I bet she's just as sweet as she could be. Sweet as chocolate candy and sweet as honey from a bee. Okay, let me see here. I want to see what you all are seeing. There we go. Elaine Parker, thank you so much for the super sticker and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. All right. So, all right. So let's get going then because I got plenty to. Hazel Jones. Hi, Hazel Jones. I think the British media is fishing for info about Harry's status so they can stir the pot if he swears. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with the Harry status stuff. If you notice, I didn't mention it yesterday. Some things I just think are so, you know, I just don't bother with it. So talk about it amongst yourselves, but I'm good with it. It's like when Meghan wasn't visible for a while and people speculated about her status. I don't want to be bothered with that stuff. I don't want to do the work for the trolls. Not that I'm saying that you all are, but I'm just saying it's that one right there is just a little bit beyond me. Okay, anti-monarchy protesters are warning King Charles III and Prince William that there's a growing apathy against the royal family. A growing apathy. Where in blazes have you all been? What do you mean a growing apathy? I thought we crossed that bridge the day after the Queen died. A growing apathy? That's like saying there's nothing over Aaron Neville's right eye. There's nothing over his eye. When all of us know there is something over his right eye about the size of the state of Vermont. So saying that, there has been increasing apathy, that where have you all been? Of course, there's apathy. Anyway, as I was saying, let me get over here and I will share with you guys what the thing says there. Well, Moshana, you know there's something over Aaron Neville's eye that I can't stop thinking about. I see it in my sleep. Okay. With the change in power on the throne, see what I mean? The day after the Queen died, there's been a noticeable difference in how Queen Elizabeth II was treated compared to her son, King Charles III, while British citizens warmly greeted the monarch when she was alive. The same can't be said for Charles since his reign began. The protests are becoming more frequent and anti-monarchy groups are getting louder. And let's see. And they are already telling the palace they will be there at Charles's coronation. I think I've heard something. Have you guys heard anything about that? About them being at the coronation? Hi, Deidre Mikey. Oh, really? Okay. Thank you, Deidre. Okay. They are already telling the palace that, yeah. Okay, that they will be there at Charles's coronation. Sources are reporting to Yahoo UK. Ooh, you know the source is always correct, right? Omid Scobie that the palace has a little worry about people opposing the royal family because there are plenty of positive things to focus on. Really? However, Scobie is noting that it's the extremists who either love or hate the royals that they should be worried about is the growing apathy in the middle that is the most worrisome. Right. So as people see more and more groups of protesters, it is going to embolden others, especially one thing about the young people, and I can't stress this enough, young people, when they hitched onto a cause, once they hitch their wagon to the cause, it is like full throttle for young people. And so it's already a lack of interest from the young. And if that is expanded upon because of these protests, well, I'm afraid the royal family is in a heap of trouble, a lot of trouble, because those young people are the ones that they are going to depend upon in the future to support the inadequate aging institution known as the British royal family or the monarchy. So they need those young people. Let me see. And then down here it says, oh, that's interesting. King Charles III coronation is a coveted invite amongst, well, that's on Twitter. I don't want to look at that one. With the No More Royals Twitter account appearing and creating a manifesto that points out we have to choose between heating our homes or putting food on the table while the king plans a multi-million-pound pageant. The anti-royalist leader, Graham Smith of Republic, noted to Scobie, we can keep raising awareness of the problem and scandals of the monarchy, getting people to understand why it's worth caring about getting rid of it. That includes connecting the institution to issues of identity, social justice, and democratic reform. Smith believes that the royals will struggle to re-engage the indifferent because just isn't any reason for people to be interested in them anymore and any other celebrity family. So yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a hard sell to try to remind people how important the monarchy is because most people are just worrying about heating their homes. They are worrying about those fuel bills that have gotten so outrageous. Didn't most of the heating bills for people double since the start of the pandemic? Huh. Smith believes that the royals will struggle to. Oh, yeah, I did that one. It's fascinating dilemma King Charles finds himself faced with. But for now, his only focus is on his May 6th coronation. So maybe that's what it is let's just get through this coronation and we'll worry about the apathy later. If there is a later, ask Charles I how they felt about laters. All right. And so over here, I want to remind you guys, not my king, those yellow and black placards that people have carried around, reminding people like they're down with the crown, boot them out. Well, that is a homemade sign, but the yellow and black ones, even the ones that look like spray paint, those have been mass produced. So they are quite organized. Now, the big question is this some type of false flag operation? Is this some type of false, what do they call it? The false, a false protest, whatever. You know how you can, I forgot the word for it, but anyway, is this real or is this something that has been created by the security people or the Met Police or the Secret Service of some sort? Is this real or is this like some kind of orchestrated event? Hard to tell. So let me go here. Nope, not here. No, let's go back here. Anti-monarchy protests are warning protesters are warning Charles III and Prince William that there is a growing apathy against the royal family. Done that. And if you take a look here, someone posted that picture with the red cape asking, what century is this? And that is the problem. What century is it? And then, of course, one of my favorites is Charles there in the coronation chair as he actually disappears in the shadow of his mother, who was only about 4'11", maybe 4'10". She was shrinking. But there he is in the shadow of his mother. And of course, Charles holding the orb and the scepter and wearing that very dignified crown does not have the same warmth and sympathy that, well, actually, the Queen wasn't the warmest person, but she was old and a very sympathetic figure. And he's not receiving the warmth and the sympathy that was extended to Her Majesty the Queen. And of course, you have plumes and capes and I don't know what you call those hats. It looked like a big, giant, overstuffed beret. But these are modern times. How does these images sell to the young people? It looks rather inadequate and, dare I say, a bit ridiculous. And the young people are very aware of it. They look at it and they just kind of go about their business. Matter of fact, it's kind of eerie as an American because as an American, the royal family has become the face of Britain, right? This is what we think about is, oh, I got to go take a picture in front of Buckingham Palace. I wonder if the Queen is at home. Oh, they said, look at the flag, and that's how you can tell the Queen is home. All of those things, right? However, it should be noted from my experience that most people just go about their days and don't give a toss about the royal family. It is just not part of most people's day. And, it really shouldn't be. It should not dominate the day. I don't think any politician or any sovereign or royal family should. I mean, what's most important is your home, your work, your recreation, not watching people parade around in these fancy party costumes. So, and then if you take a look here, Your Majesty, there's another carriage that needs sorting and burying for good. So this illustration reminds everyone, including Charles, if he's paying attention, that there is all types of skeletons, relics of the past that need to be sorted out. And so the Queen actually just kind of put the brakes on any type of dissension. But now that the Queen is gone, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say there's a lot of pent up energy amongst the population of people who have been holding their tongues and was just waiting for the Queen's transition. I know this to be true because this has been a consistent theme that has gone on for quite some time is that people, even in some cases, some governments were saying, well, when the Queen is gone, we're done with the monarchy. When the Queen is done, we no longer want to have that same role in the Commonwealth. Now, a lot of them prefer to stay in the Commonwealth. I don't know how that helps them because Commonwealth would denote some type of sharing of the wealth, but that doesn't seem to be the way it goes. Like Massachusetts, it's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Even though the United States is a nation, it is individual states. Joseph Biden, President of the United States, cannot send troops into a state without consulting a governor. A lot of times when there's a tragedy and people are saying, well, why don't the FEMA, why don't the federal government do something? Because the governor of those states has to request, they have to declare a state of emergency. And then the federal government can respond. Now, unless there is like some type of, massive life-ending event or a threat to the state that is beyond the governor's control, then and only then would you see something like that. But otherwise, the states here in the United States are very, what do you call it? They're very confident in their ability to govern. and they do not want the input of the federal government unless they ask for it. So I would say in the Commonwealth, it's much the same. Even though there is a constitutional component to the royal family, they don't expect that they're ever going to do anything unless they ask them to come and visit. And when the royal family goes to those Commonwealth countries, it helps the politicians. It helps to shore up the authority of whatever leader to be photographed with the Queen. Not so much with Charles, though. Charles is not the Queen. He's just not the Queen. Now, you could argue about how important it was for the Queen to do that, but I say the Queen actually helped a lot of local politicians to bolster their image to be associated with the Queen. But I just don't think that that translates for Charles. So Foxy says, sorry, but both look ridiculous with those hats. Yeah. I'll give you that. Let's see. Marcy Foreman says, Baron, the monarch died with the Queen, or the monarchy, rather, right? Those folks that are left are empty-minded, heartless, dried up, and monstrous, right? Dry and monstrous. What's that? Unmoisturated. 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 How dare you accuse anyone in that royal family of not having enough moisturizing? And oh, never mind. I understand what you're saying. That's okay, Marcy Foreman. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. For a second there, I was thinking that's not fair, and then I did this, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Oh man, Camilla, Queen of the Desert. Oh man. Thank you, Marcy Foreman, and also thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Okay, so moisturizing aside, or lack of moisturizing aside, hello, Shelly L. Let me see, Hope Garden thing. Oh, okay. Oh, is there a new member? Did I miss a new member? I hope not. If I did, thanks for being here. Thank you for your membership. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Okay, no echoes. Great. Let me see. Oh, Marshar says the unroyal costumes look like a cult. The 2022 Commonwealth Games opening looked like a cult ceremony. And what is it? Chuck kicked it off. Look closely at Chuck's Prince of Wales coat of arms, and you see the beast. Really? I didn't see the beast in the coat of arms. Let me see. I know it's like Latin I serve, right? Prince Charles, I'm sorry, well, now it's King Charles, but I think it's Prince Charles coat of arms. Oh, wait, Prince Charles. I'm going to take a look, Marcy. Prince Charles coat of arms. Okay. Now, is it the coat of arms or is it his cipher? Because I'm looking at the coat of arms, and I know the cipher is the 3 feathers. So I'm not seeing the beast. I'm not seeing the beast, but okay, I'll look at it later. But I didn't see that. I mean, I saw a bunch of cryptic symbols and such, but I didn't see the beast. And not that I'm disputing you, of course. Hello, Jess. Jess says, I am one of the young people and I am tired of seeing these royals of old. Well, thank you for that, Jess. I think you're in good company. There's a lot of people that are just sick of them. Do you hear me? Sick! Hello, Shay. Thank you so much for being here. All right. So moving on. And there is Graham Smith, Abolish the Monarchy. That is a book that he wrote. Why we should and how we will abolish the monarchy. Now, it has been said in the past that abolish the monarchy has actually been shady with Harry. I haven't seen that myself, which of course doesn't mean that that's not true, but I haven't seen it myself. So, maybe at some point I will come across something. But I think that after much criticism, they decided to lay off of Harry. Um, which it just makes sense, I think, for their sake. It would not help your cause to go after Harry because there are a lot of people that love Harry or like Harry and do not care for the royal family. And it's just like the Queen. The Queen and Harry were the two most popular. At some points, Harry was actually more popular than the Queen. And I would say, with their popularity, what they had in common is that they could transcend their positions with people. The Queen, just because she was seen like the national grandmother and the national matriarch. And then, of course, the nation's matriarch. Yeah, sure. I mean, who wants to pick on an old lady? And then with Harry, everybody's always loved Harry. And so even people who don't care about the monarchy still care about Harry. And even with this hate campaign, I think that the strong feelings come from the royalists, or some people would say cultists, and not from the average working person. Joan Lawman, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Wednesday to you, and thank you so much for being a member of Royal Sussex. Greatly appreciate it. Okay. So anyway, you guys, that is Graham Smith. And if you want to, he actually has a video why Charles should not be king, or I forget the name of it. But if you go on YouTube and look up Graham Smith, you can see some of the conversations that he's had. So whether or not he is the real thing, or whether he represents some type of orchestrated dissension from the actual government, or even from the royal family, if this, whether, take a look and see for yourself and see some of the things that he said over time. Okay. But yeah, I've heard him speak before. And I mean, he seems legitimate, but it almost seems too good to be true. And let's just go back here for a second. Um, a couple of people said, if the police arrest one person with a sign, how come they would not leave a whole group of people alone? And I think that, number one, it is a group and not an individual. And if you would have made them leave, it would have been more people that just walked away from Westminster Abbey than actually showed up. Remember, there was a very low turnout for King Charles' first turn as the Commonwealth head, and of course, as the sovereign, which is not one and the same. They selected Charles because the Queen put pressure on them so that her son could take the position. But there are no rules that say that the head of the Commonwealth has to be a member of the royal family, or the leader of the Commonwealth has to be the member of the royal family. So the other thing is, perhaps they got a permit. I mean, in most places, when people want to protest, they get a permit. So I don't think Britain would be any exception, perhaps a permit. And being clearly identified with their yellow and black colors, that denotes that they're part of the group that has a permit. So maybe they had a permit. I don't know. That would be interesting, though. I'm going to try to find out whether or not they had a permit, because as this goes forward, I definitely want to know. It will help to legitimize the cause if they are going through well, still, how would we know, right? The British, what is it? The British is press. Okay, is it the British press is destroying the very thing they claim to love? You would think Prince Charles would have the those things to say stop, would have the fortitude to say stop. Thank you, J Matt. Let's see here. Karen says, the man who shouldn't be king. Yes, that's it, Karen, on YouTube. The Man Who Shouldn't Be King. It's a documentary about how the unroyal family changed laws in Duchy of Cornwall. Thank you, Karen. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's it. Perfect. Okay, proceed. And of course, whenever you want to say not my king, you have to say it in the ancient Gaelic dialect of Welsh. Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus. That means not my king. And if you're in the United States, Neiman Marcus means needless markup. That means it costs too much. Needless markup. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Neiman Marcus is a fine department store. I've shopped there myself, and there are bargains to be had. So, but that's just like a little nickname, like Mickey D's for McDonald's, needless markup for Neiman Marcus. But yeah. So, but that photo on the right side there, how haunting is that? I mean, you have all these people protesting, and there's Charles, who is supposed to be this old man in the twilight of his life. And those people are like, you're not ever going to be our king. Must be painful for him. And then I'm going to remind you guys about this. Charles is only half of that story. The other half is William. Now, I played the audio for this the other day. I'm not going to do it again because the audio is not of great quality. But you guys do know that when William and Kate were walking into Westminster Abbey, there was someone who yelled, "You're never going to be king." And you can see how the head has dropped down. And of course, the other thing I could not sort out, the performers that you see from New Zealand, they performed for the Wessexes. They performed for Charles and Camilla. But for whatever reason, and you know the order of their appearance, for whatever reasons, they are standing there, hands at their side, and they did not perform. I don't understand why that happened. I don't, and I'm not saying that there was anything going on with that, but it seemed like when the number two, when the heir to the throne is coming, then it seems like if you would have performed for Anne, if you would have performed for the Wessexes, certainly you would perform for the Welleses, but they did not. So that was two things that struck me about that entrance is they simply told him, you're never going to be king. And of course, the performers did not perform. So those two things, I don't know. I don't know. Is it like some kind of omen? Or, it's almost like an omen. Yeah, so I have to wonder about that. It's very, very strange. And then, of course, the signage, the billboards. Now, I'm going to say this. I have no way to know if these billboards actually went up around the UK or if they were just photoshopped. I'm assuming that with the fundraising, they were able to put these billboards up. So I do not want to go on record and say this is absolutely true. I've only seen these on social media, but it is an open and free country, even though they have been cracking down on freedom of speech. And I suppose it could be absolutely what it appears to be, that they have been putting those signs up. But helicopters, private jets, multiple homes, personal train, climate change hypocrite. And that was one of the things that they were pushing just before the COP26, which is about the environment. So it is hypocritical. And it is one of those things that, you know, anyone who is an environmentalist or cares about the environment, which is usually younger people, they're all taking that in. So the message is not going to be lost. Hey, Anne, Duchess of Success, you're not the first person to wonder if the public are controlled opposition. Well, as a matter of fact, I think you were the first one who said that I heard pointed out, and then Pedo pointed out the fact that no one was getting arrested. Let me see. Back when he supported Harry and Meghan, even Hugo said it. Many people are thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, controlled opposition. And of course, after everyone started talking about that and the yellow and black signs and everything, it made me recall the story about how, as a matter of fact, it's so ironic that I had only just saw that maybe about a week before you mentioned that, right? I had saw the story about how some of the undercover police officers, 4 in total that we know of, started a family with some of the people that they were surveilling. In other words, they were deeply infiltrating these protest groups, much like the what is it? The Not My King anti-monarchy, or well, anyway, they were infiltrating those groups, and some of the women that they were dating in those groups, like the Republic, actually got pregnant. And one of the women even told her boyfriend, "I want to start a family." And at first he said no, but in order to remain in character, you know, he said, "Okay, let's do it." But they were all married. So it does happen. It does happen. And even with Martin Luther King Jr., they said that there were people from the FBI that had infiltrated his group. They had him under surveillance. So that is a thing. And so with the Republic, it's hard to know whether or not we can trust them. But I, I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. But even if Republic is a real thing, it doesn't mean that the people in the group are not compromised by undercover security officers. And let's face it, this guy he looks like a, a he looks guilty, right? He looks guilty. And he is almost too good to be true. It's almost too good to be true. He always says the right thing. He always does the right thing. Everything is going his way, which is suspicious. But then again, maybe they tolerate the group because they're the lesser of the evils out there. So that would be a reason to tolerate them. So the controlled opposition, yeah, that is a thing. But oh, man, I don't know. I don't know. I want to believe it's true, but then again, with the yellow placards that seem to be everywhere, with the marketing and rollout, it seems too good to be true. They're not, and you know what? I'm glad they're not violent. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but they're not a violent group or anything like that. They're just, but if they are trying to do controlled opposition, I do believe that it can get out of hand very fast. Okay, so just a reminder, William was booed. I believe it was in Liverpool, if you guys remember that. I mean, his feelings were so bruised, his ego was so destroyed that he left the stadium in tears. And so, to illustrate how small he felt at that moment, you can see on the right side, I created a mini me for William, the man who may never be king, because it pretty much epitomizes the situation as far as I'm concerned. There he walks in there thinking, oh, I'm just, everybody loves me and I'm the future king. And you guys may remember there was one player who refused to shake his hand. Instead of shaking his hand, he just stepped to the side. He wanted nothing to do with William. And that has to hurt. So good for him. Uh, oh man, Baron, it's the boredom of bullying. Kate and Chucky's face that speaks volume. Why even show up? They practice pseudo everything everywhere with everyone. Well said, Marcy Foreman. Well said. Let me see. Reba Henderson said, Baron, they arrested a police officer of 30 years who attacked and coerced intimacy out of a black woman by threatening to jail their son and boyfriends. He was, what is that? He had, okay, he has several illegitimate children. Wow. Well, it's like a movie plot, isn't it, Reba? It is like a movie plot. And so, as they say, art imitates life. It should be of no surprise that that stuff happens. And it is all, you really can't look at any type of group and not wonder who is the traitor, who is the, well, not necessarily traitor, but who is the police officer, who is the undercover agent. You can't really look at a group without wondering these things. So, yeah, interesting, very interesting. Now, I spoke about this gaslighting yesterday, and this is something that was trending today, and that was this idea that Kate has somehow exerted her authority upon William with just a glance, that resting Princess of Wales face of hers, that resting Princess of Wales face. And of course, I wanted to make it very clear that there is nothing new about that face. That face has been doing that same little stunt for years. It is very obvious that they are not that close to one another. Yes, Lydia Washington says she let her masks slip. Absolutely, absolutely. It is almost impossible to maintain that charade that they have, or did they say in the UK that charade that they have maintained all these years, especially even in public, they have been known to give each other that glare. And so instead of allowing people, because this, played out in front of everyone, instead of allowing people to assume the worst, they find Judy James, who spins it into Kate, takes very serious her position as Colonel Mustard or whatever she is, Colonel something, Corn Colonel, Colonel in Chief, whatever she's supposed to be, that she takes serious her position. And so, unfortunately, you guys, there are some people that will see that and take it as being the gospel. But as Lydia said, the mask has let slip again, and we've seen it over and over again. It's frustrating for me because, on the one hand, you find them recycling the same photos of Harry and Meghan, easier with Harry because Harry does not smile as often when there's cameras around, and not as easy for Meghan because Meghan has a very pleasant demeanor, and so you don't find images of her scowling at people like that. And of course, just as a reminder, and because I am petty AF, matter of fact, I should get that on my license plate, petty AF. Because I'm petty AF, I just throw this in there every so often. Um, these untouched, unedited images of the newly minted Princess of Wales, who is, I think, a year or two. Is she the same age as Beyonce? She's about a year younger than Paris Hilton. Not that there's anything wrong with aging gracefully and naturally, but as they have tried to perpetuate this um, image of superiority, I just like to make sure that we strip things down to its barest essentials. I believe it was Oliver Cromwell who said warts and all. So there is your English rose, warts and all. Oh, excuse me. Why did I just laugh like a wicked witch? I don't know. Okay, you guys, I promised you how the bubble burst, right? How the bubble burst. Now, I'm just going to ask you, guess who mama that is, right? Guess who mama that is? Anybody know? Anybody know whose mama that is? Come on, y'all. Whose mama is that? I'll give you a clue. They use Cambridge Curl. Cambridge Curl. The no lie Royal Relaxer. Cambridge Curl. Give your hair the royal treatment. Cambridge Curl. Nope, not Rebel. Come on, y'all. Who mama is that? Yes, it is Rothermere's. By the way, there are no prizes. There are no prizes. But that is Lord Nappyhead's mama. And as you can see, with that big bouffanty hairdo, yeah, that is Lord Rothermere's mother. The is it Viscount Rothermere? That's his mother. And from all accounts, just as shady as they come. Now, she was a socialite, a real party animal, if you will, a hostess with the Moses. And even though over the years she had grew bigger and bigger, that did not stop her from showing off her love of lace and bows and frills and peplums and all kind of things. It's almost like the big hair is just a small part of what she loves about herself. Big hair, big clothes, big everything. And so, if you take a look on the left side, that little boy who seems to be clamoring for his jet setting mama's attention is the future Lord Rothermere, also known as Lord Nappyhead. That is young Lord Nappyhead. Um, so I wondered about his family. I've seen his daddy before, but I ain't never seen his mama before. They call her Bubbles, although her name is Patricia. At one time, she used the name Patricia Brooks, but they call her Bubbles because, along with that big personality, she loved a nice big glass of champagne. and she was a live one. Oh, well, someone from the Sussex Squad Detective Agency, Lydia. And once that happened, you know me, I started pulling on the thread, and I pulled and pulled. And the more I pulled upon the thread, the more I found. So um, I had to do some digging because they did have that photo, but it had some other stuff on it. And I wanted one that did not have that on it. So I found it. I mean, take a look at her. In all of those photos, you will notice there's lots of ruffles and bows and big hair. She was a bigger than life person. She had a good life, I'll tell you that. At age 17, as the daughter of a middle class architect, she come a long way. Right there, she got a kick out of champagne, larger than life, Bubbles Viscount Rothermere. And everybody called her Bubbles, and she loved it. As a matter of fact, you can see right there, Patricia Evelyn, or as we say in the US, Evelyn, Patricia Evelyn Beverly Matthews, or Beverly Brooks, actress, an actress. Boy, that sounds familiar. Born in 1929, married Christopher Brooks. Let me see, one daughter. Oh, yeah, she had one daughter, Christopher Brooks. Marriage dissolved in 1956 or maybe 57. She met Vera Harmsworth, right? Vera Harmsworth. That's a weird name, Vera Harmsworth, the Viscount of Rothermere, and they had a son and a daughter. Now, she died in France on the 12th of August, 1992. Now, these are just little parts of her obituary that I pulled out. She moved in the highest circles, counting Princess Margaret's, pardon me, and Princess Michael of Kent, another social climber, among her friends. Asked recently how she intended to celebrate the start of the millennium, and she said she planned a fabulous and gay party on the top of a New York skyscraper. And that is how she lived her life. Her eccentricities, she apparently enjoyed midnight fish and chips feast in her Bentley. Well, I'm kind of greedy. I'm not a stranger to going to the midnight drive-through. Were legendary as her extravagant fashion says. Voted one of London's 10 most beautiful women in her youth, she continued to favor bows, frills, and flounces as her figure expanded. Once described as as the world's best party giver, she entertained international politicians, businessmen, aristocrats, and show business personalities at lavish dinners, often raising large sums for charity. Flying between homes in London, Sussex, isn't that interesting? Sussex, London, Sussex, California, Paris, Jamaica, and New York. That's what, one, two, three, four, five, six homes. She pursued an energetic lifestyle, which included skiing, dancing, and walking. Okay, that doesn't explain how she got so big, but okay. It was said that she attended the opening of an envelope. I could believe that. She liked attention, they said. And then also, according to anecdotes, she once chastised a newspaper columnist, Keith Waterhouse, at a Buckingham Palace garden party for failing to show enough sympathy for her servant problems, and told him he was sacked, fired. Unfortunately, Mr. Waterhouse worked for the Daily Mirror at the time, a newspaper which was not part of her husband's media empire, although he later moved to the Daily Mail. So apparently, she tried to get Mr. Waterhouse fired, even though he didn't work for her husband. And then eventually he moved over to the Daily Mail, but he still didn't lose his job. Note Lady Rothermere always stated her birth year as 1933. However, the obituary states 1929. More than 2,000 tablets in 75 containers were found in her family's villa in, what is it, Coptiel, near Nice. So she had this beautiful villa in the south of France that once belonged to Greta Garbo, and that is where she died at age 63. There was a coroner's inquest, and they said that she died of a overdose and also that she had had a heart attack. Now she was in declining health anyway, but mostly she was addicted to sleeping pills, among other things. And so they assumed that she just made a mistake and took one pill too many and died. Well, anyway, her maid could not get in touch with her. Now, it was not unusual for her to wake up at 6 in the evening. She would start her day around 6 p.m. And so she was scheduled for a lunch that day. And for some odd reason, her clock was set for 5:30 a.m., which people thought that was unusual because she wasn't an early riser. But she had locked herself in the bedroom, and the maid actually had to crawl over a balcony, I think it was, to get to her room. And when the maid entered the room, she was found in a heap in the middle of the floor. So, for someone who, may have had sleeping pills, it doesn't mean that it wasn't an accident, but it was just rather strange in the state in which they found her. So, let me see. As a fashionable figure, Bubbles Rothermere raised contradictory emotions. On the one hand, her total disregard for the "you can never be too thin or too rich" fashion doctrine caused mirth among women less secure of their position and role in society. The women who literally nibbled a lettuce leaf with such dedication at their stomachs shrinking and becomes impossible for them to put on weight. On the other hand, as she grew larger and defiantly refused to dress in a way that might disguise her size, she became a cheerleader around whom those who wanted to have fun without worrying about their voluptuousness happily rallied. So she was like, let's hear it for the big girls. I rather like her. I think she was probably a lot of fun. And there was a parody that they used to do on British television. Bubbles. Oh, I can't remember the name of the character, but there was a parody of her on British television. But they did have a coroner's inquest about her death, and they ruled it an accident in some odd language that they use. But and even though her husband owned the Daily Mail, there was a couple of, well, her ex-husband, they separated in 1978, but they had a very amicable split, and he took good care of her. She usually would spend about seven figures a year, and he did not protest it much, I imagine. So, yeah. So if you guys want to look her up, just look up Patricia Rothermere or Bubbles Rothermere, and you can read more about her, the Viscountess Rothermere. Huh. Well, that explains why Lord Nappyhead. Yes, the Little Brit Show. Thank you so much, Jeannie Hyde. It was called the Little Britain Show. That show had some rather dodgy looking I'll just say, rather racist looking parodies that they were doing. I saw a bit of that today, and I'm just like, in other words, some of the characters use blackface. Okay. Some of the characters use blackface. So if you are sensitive about that, I recommend that you don't watch it. But yeah, some of the characters use blackface. So that's Lord Nappyhead's mother with her legs sticking out from underneath those ruffles. But yeah, she was a beautiful woman in her day. And also, you can see here, there is Viscount, the late Viscount Ruthermere, and there is Lady Ruthermere and Princess Diana. And just as they said, there she is with all those ruffles, always bows and ruffles. So there you go. And of course, as she gotten older, you can see she decided flat shoes were more sensible. So there she is wearing a woman's Oxford rather than to even bother with any type of heel. So recollections may vary. This takes me to the next thing. Recollections may vary. Firm rewriting history. But the Sussex Squad Detective Agency will have none of it. Do you hear me? Because we always keep receipts. If you take a look here, there is, okay, now if you are the squatty who posted this, do know I didn't want your page flooded with a lot of ignorance, so I took your name away. But there it says it's their playbook and it hasn't changed since. And so when I took notice of that, I said, you know what? Let's go a little deeper because I got some receipts. So these are the receipts that was posted by that anonymous squatty. Diana should keep quiet, right? And then the other ones we have here, Princess Di, Dark Side doesn't get a look in. Now that, of course, is from The Crown. Prince Charles cut out friends to meet Princess Diana's inexhaustible demands, save marriage. Now, is that the same Prince Charles who hopped in his open top two-seater and motored away from their home after she had just got home from the hospital with their child? Is that the Prince Charles who gave up stuff so that he could be with his wife? I think not. Prince Charles cut out friends to meet Princess Diana's inexhaustible demands? Come on now. Now you know that that is a bunch of hooey. And then, of course, compare that with what they say about Meghan. The shady side of Meghan. Lonely Harry, Prince Harry's friends claim he cut off from pals since marrying Meghan Markle, and many no longer have his number. See how it has that connection? They're saying that Charles had to cut off friends for Diana and that Harry had to eliminate friends for Meghan. Yeah, so some of those good old boys that Harry used to hang around with, those public school boys, the likes of which I would compare some of them to a Boris Johnson, if you don't mind. Not all of them. I mean, I'm sure some he do have a few friends from school that he stays in touch with, but Harry said that one of the ways he realized how subversive racism can be was seeing the reaction of some of his friends when they would mention or hear her name mentioned, hear Meghan's name mentioned. Then he started to recognize racism for what it was. Princess Diana's brutal outbursts against royal staff. Get out of my sight. Princess Diana enjoyed gossiping, created tension amongst royal staff members. And then compare that to Meghan Markle flew into a rage at, what is that, PA? Over color of blankets, and left the entire household on the verge of quitting. And then, of course, Meghan Markle leaves royal staff strained with demands and falls out with Kate. You can see the parallels. And as that squatty said, reporting directly from the Sussex Squad Detective Agency, it is the typical playbook. And then, of course, the more sinister headlines. Royal car crash. Now, this is one of the receipts I pulled out. Royal car crash. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry face new environmental row over Range Rovers shipped from Britain to Southern Africa for their 10-day tour. Now, is it in good taste to use car crash in the same conversation with Harry, and even worse with Harry and his wife? I think that was deliberate rather. The other thing I'll say about this is that idea that the Sussexes demanded that they bring Range Rovers to South Africa. I said it before. I'm going to remind everyone again, although some of you all already know, those Range Rovers. Are you listening, hate listeners and derangers out there? The Range Rovers were shipped at no cost to the government, no cost to the Crown Estate, no cost to Prince Charles. Thank you, personal assistant. Those Range Rovers were gifted to this event by the car company, who wanted to promote their executive lightly armored vehicles. Okay? Those vehicles were flown to South Africa at no cost to the government. So that's the last time. No, it ain't, because I'm going to say it again. But that is another time I'm going to remind people that the government did not pay for those cars. Range Rover wanted to do it. As you guys may have heard, in South Africa, personal protection and armored vehicle sales are very high. And so what better place for an automobile company like Range Rover, what better place to demonstrate their vehicles' reliability and safety than to ship them off to South Africa? You know, no offense to South Africa, but that's just what they wanted to do. And that was likely, I'm just guessing, that's likely the reason why they wanted to do it. And trust me, we can use a few of those around the United States too. I can think of a few places around here I could use an armored vehicle, but that was the reason why they sent those vehicles to South Africa. It had nothing to do with the demands of the Sussexes, but Meghan Markle, Prince Harry faced new environmental row. That was a way to disparage the Sussexes. Okay. Alicia says they know what they're doing, and I believe deep down they delete Diana, and Harry knows it's. That's why he's not playing the game with them, and he's been hated for it. The vultures make me sick. I'm sick of it too, Alicia. Thank you so much for your comment. And let's see, KP assistants didn't like Meghan. They believe they were better than her because she's black. They would disrespect her to her face and behind her back, calling her names, but she had to play nice. You know what, CR? I'm going to tell you something about that. Now, yesterday, I was bombarded with some things on social media in my inbox by someone who seems to think that I'm giving the Queen a free pass on any past transgressions or shortcomings. I don't believe that to be true, but and I'm sure that person is not the only one that feels that way. But understand this. It is with an implied consent from William who is considered the highest ranking member of the royal family at Kensington Palace. Charles doesn't go there. Charles doesn't spend time there. William does. William has a home there, not Charles. And so everybody at Kensington Palace dances to his music. And so if he gives any implied consent to his people that you are okay to disrespect her, I don't like her, I don't trust her, uh, whether he says it out loud or whether it's indicated through some other means of communication, he told them that it was okay to do whatever or say whatever or mistreat, deceive, do you, boo? That's what was implied to his staff. Later on, I believe that the Queen's household was the laughing stock of the royal family, and that Charles gave implied consent. This is what I believe, for people to be very dismissive of the Queen's wishes. That's what I believe. And so that 90 something year old woman who made fewer and fewer public events, who at some point was restricted to Windsor Castle using the excuse of the pandemic, and then restricted to Sandringham and then off to Balmoral. I don't think that she was in charge of her affairs for maybe a year or so before she died. That is what I believe. It doesn't mean that nothing bad had ever happened or anything like that because of her. Doesn't mean she wasn't responsible for some of the worst things. But I'm just saying, toward the end, it was implied in so many words or so few words, Charles is in charge. And Charles himself, just before the Queen died, he's setting up for an interview with NBC television. I'm all the way here in the United States, and I could see that his mother is near her last breath. And he was so worried about her, he wasn't even there. He was over in Dumfries' house or wherever, couldn't be bothered. Anne was there, but not Charles. And so I think it shows, and maybe she had it coming. Maybe she had it coming. Maybe her neglect of him when he was a child, maybe that was the reason why he wasn't there as an adult. Maybe, maybe. That's between them. I don't know. It's a big question in my head exactly how much how much did his childhood play into his upbringing? How much did the protocols of that family cause that to happen? But when you're on the outs in that family, then that means that even the staff will disrespect you. And I think the staff was very disrespectful to the Queen before she died. And I think the staff was very disrespectful to Harry and then eventually to Meghan because it was pretty much indicated that it was okay. It was a implied consent to mistreat them. So I do believe that even if it wasn't a verbal command from the highest parts of the royal family or the firm, that it's okay to disrespect and mistreat someone, the message is very clear. And so, because that is going on within the household, that means that the tabloid media was also okay to do that. I believe the tabloid media did not just act on their own. I believe that from within the royal household, there was this okay to go after Meghan. And of course, what confuses me, but I guess it shouldn't, is that it was okay to go after Harry. It was okay to mistreat Diana. And then eventually, after all of those years of the Queen ignoring her sister, her son, her other children, even Philip was mistreated. It is kind of odd that toward the end, maybe all of that stuff that went on that she never spoke out about, then all of a sudden, there she was, helpless and alone, and possibly suffering from the mistreatment of the households. Interesting, isn't it? I think maybe that's the way it played out. Maybe if they wouldn't have made that deal with the tabloid media some 30 years ago, creating the Royal Rota, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Or maybe if she would have took a stand with Prince Philip, because Prince Philip was abused by the media. Maybe, just maybe, or maybe it was nothing she could do. I don't know, but somehow, somewhere, some way, I do believe that had they taken a stand or had they not been in bed with the media, that a lot of these things would not have happened. But because they became dependent upon the media, so that they could have all of these wonderful stories about how they're doing charity and how much authority they have in uniform, maybe because they made that deal with the devil. So it's very possible that that was a problem toward the end that was probably of her own making. And so the queen finds herself subject to some of that same disrespect that went on with the rest of the family. Just maybe. I don't know. I'm just unpacking a few things. Beverly McCaskill says, Baron, I agree with everything you're saying. I believe that Harry knows a lot of what his father and shady brother has been his shady brother has been doing behind the scenes. They want him to show his hand. Exactly. Exactly. Please show your hand. Show your hand. Let us see what you're playing with. Let us see how far you're going to go. Let us know what those other 400 pages of your book says. Let me see. Uh, you would think Copycat, who was a commoner, would understand because she knows how it feels and try to guide Meghan, but no, she jumped on the Meghan hate train because she feels threatened by Meg. Exactly, exactly. She felt threatened, and then of course, some people are even saying it has been alleged that her mother may have played a certain role with because as you notice, not only do they not say anything about Camilla and her family, they say nothing about the Middletons anymore. The Middletons have been given a free pass. Whereas before they treated the Middletons like they were the Clampetts, now they get a free pass. So I think there's something to that too. The goal was to try to get rid of Meghan anyway before the wedding, but then William pushed hard to get rid of her and her child with African blood. They didn't think Harry would go too. That is what confused them, is that Harry also decided to leave. Yeah, but I know it seems like I'm giving the Queen a free pass, but maybe that ending, the way things ended for her, if indeed the Queen may have been disrespected or mistreated or whatever, perhaps having taken a stand some years ago might have prevented that. And that's not to say it happened, but Harry said, and I repeat again, I want to make sure the right people are around my grandmother. And I just cannot stop thinking about that because it just implies that something wasn't right. And even when you go through Spare and you listen to him talk about those last days, it makes you wonder exactly what was going on. When Harry and Meghan went to see the Queen secretly, And it was when William was out of town and Charles was God knows where. It seemed like they freaked out and they banished her to Sandringham. What was she doing in Sandringham? They made her go to Sandringham as if to say, just in case you want to double back, she ain't going to be here, okay? And whoever let you in the first time, that's not going to happen again. So they banish her to Sandringham. And then after that, she ends up in Balmoral. And that's the last we see or hear from QE2. Very strange the way that worked out. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle warned, look at history over car crash royal interviews. Harry's making the same mistakes as Diana, and I fear he'll come to regret it, just like his mother did, writes biographer Penny Junor. What? What? You see what I'm saying? Once Prince Charles died, Charles took complete responsibility for everything. He put the Queen in the back seat. Yes, Rosalind Gatewood. Yes, as Harry said, William was yelling like some kind of lunatic, and my father started talking about stuff he knew was not true, and Granny got up and walked out the room. She just walked away. Now, what does that tell you? She had nothing to say. I'm telling you guys, there's something up with that. And then, of course, they're planning an accident in my car so Charles can marry again. And then, of course, more headlines. Charles wins, Diana loses. The final betrayal. Diana should just keep quiet. And what about when they took away her HRH? Taking away her HRH took away her personal protection. Taking away her HRH cut her adrift. Harry is the people's princess. Harry is the one who is living up to his mother's legacy, not William. As you can see, Harry's at that very same hostel where Princess Diana made a visit on the very same staircase. And there at the bottom left, you can see Harry looking at the photo of his mother on that staircase. So Diana, the people's princess, as you can see up there at the top, perhaps it says the people's princess. Well, Harry is the people's prince. Enters Lurch. Enters Lurch. Here comes Lurch. Lurch decides to go and read a speech telling people that that interview on Panorama with my mother, with what's his name, Martin Bashir, made her more increasingly paranoid. In other words, he is giving the sole responsibility of his mother's downfall to the BBC, not to the tabloid media, not to his father, not to his grandparents, not to the courtiers, but he's blaming the BBC for their parents being even further separated, and of course, his mother's paranoia. Not the fact that people was eavesdropping, possibly tailing her, listening to her phone calls in the Kensington Palace. Not and if you and look at the reach of the royal family, even as they have infiltrated the American media. How dare you say that your mother was made paranoid by the BBC? The royal family, the firm, is a very powerful institution. Now, firm, a lot of people think that firm is actually code for mafia. But whatever you want to call that family who has that belongs to a lot of secret organizations. Now, Diana said herself, Martin Bashir did not what is that? Did not something me any. Well, anyway, she said, I can barely read that writing, but she said that Martin Bashir may have used nefarious means to get the interview, but my words are my words alone in so many words. Diana said it didn't matter how the words came out, they were my words. No matter how the interview was conducted, whatever means, it was still my words. So William's trying to silence his mom, the mother who made it clear that she was not misled or tricked into this interview. Duke of Cambridge is frustrated by BBC's failure to address the false narrative of Martin Bashir's panorama interview. That's from Roy Anika. They are literally trying to rewrite the history. Princess of Wales, Prince William still feels a lot of hurt and pain at how his mother was duped by Bashir. What about what she was talking about, punk? What about what she said? Stop worrying about who she said it to. It was the same thing that was in the book. William hoped the BBC would finally question the interview's legitimacy, question the legitimacy of the interview or the means in which they got the interview. That's the only thing to question. Now, by saying this, they're trying to say that the interview was a fraud or fake or phony. That's gaslighting. Martin Bashir's deceit. Whatever happened, it still does not negate the fact that Princess Diana felt threatened by the firm. And also, Princess Diana is the one who died tragically and mysteriously in a tunnel in Paris, where Harry says, that's it? No one should have died. It's really a good thing William and the Earl Spencer fighting for it. It is not about and of course, the Earl Spencer, don't get me started with Charles Spencer, the one who introduced his sister to Martin Bashir. They manipulated her and used her already vulnerable state. Yes, that may be the case, but at the same time, it was still her words. And then down there it says Diana was groomed and manipulated to deliver ratings. Well, that is part of the thing with television is they kind of want ratings, but she knows what happened to her. However, they came from fear and paranoia, fed and encouraged by Bashir. Oh man. See, that's a good royal reporter. Roy Anika. That's singing for your supper. Dr. Zane says, it's obvious, I'm going back to the top, you guys. It's obvious the establishment is working to silence Diana. Now that they have challenged the way the interview was obtained, they are going to challenge its content. What I can't believe, this son of Charles is leading this. And that's exactly what happened. That's why I say enters Lurch. There he is lurching about, helping the establishment dispute his mother's words about the abuse that she suffered since she was 16 years old. She was 16. She was the one that was groomed from age 16. not the 30-something-year-old woman sitting there giving the interview. The abuse, the grooming started years earlier when they wanted a virgin. You guys, I'm going to say this too. As you can see, and I'm, how do I put this? Princess Kate is the personification of this could have been an email. Well, Kaiser, I love Kaiser. Kaiser said it best. Instead of babbling out whatever she said, she could have just sent an email, but she got those people together to try to build up her credibility. As I say in the bottom right, Kate's rebranding masterclass that may finally see off Meghan, to see off Meghan, to send Meghan packing. And what's so obvious is that she goes to this meeting trying to look credible, dressed as Meghan. Hair down, cream blazer, white top, black pants, stilettos. I like that outfit so much better back in 2018. And that outfit of which, let's see, that was almost to the day, isn't it? That was what, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20. That's almost to this very day. Almost to the very day. No, not 18. I'm sorry, 20. So 21, 22, 20. 3 years ago. 3 years ago, right? So 3 years to the day, practically to the day, she's wearing the same outfit. And you know what, squatties? I get it when you all say, oh, don't point that out because that's what they want you to do. No, you know what they're doing? They're trying to erase these iconic images of Meghan so that when you search them, when you search images of Meghan, Mumbles is going to pop up. You know that's going to happen, right? When you search those images of Meghan, Mumbles is going to pop up. They want to confuse the chronological order in which Meghan made those appearances in the UK, and they're trying to pollute it with the images of the mediocre Middleton. That's what they're trying to do. So pick or choose your poison. Do you want to not mention it so that eventually people will forget? Or do you want to remind people that this is a pursuit, a quest to try to outdo Meghan? Either way, they are trying to erase those iconic images of Meghan. So there you go. So it was International Women's Day when Meghan went to that school in the UK. And here it is, Women's History Month in the United States. And almost 3 years to the day, that was quite deliberate. But I'm telling you guys, this is an attempt to erase Meghan. That's what it is. I don't know. I haven't worked out how it is supposed to happen, but I'm sure that there's a reason behind it. All of these iconic images of Meghan are going to be polluted in the search engines with Kate. Leg says it didn't work for Camilla and her black dress. Oh, you mean the revenge dress? When Camilla wore it, it looked like revenge on the designer more so than revenge on anybody else. But I'm not going to let it happen. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to let it happen. But thank you for the super chat, Legs. And Black Queen says the gutter press and the Unroyal Mafia family are getting away with this vile evil for decades, centuries. even because the British citizens allow it to happen. Don't feel sorry for their current plight. Yeah, it is business as usual. It is business as usual. And they have been doing this for centuries. Like, for instance, the image of Charles the First. Take a look at Charles the First, and then take a look at Louis the 16th, I think, or Louis the 14th. One of those, yeah, Louis the 14th, I think it was, whoever the Sun King was. Take a look at Louis the 14th and take a look at Charles the First. Charles the First worked as hard as he could to emulate Louis, because Louis was better at everything. Louis the 14th, I believe it was the one who built Versailles. He was the one that started Versailles. And so Charles the First was working so hard to be a Renaissance king that he literally lost his head. So the royal family are quite adept at stealing the iconic images of other people. They do that a lot. They're starstruck by another person's celebrity, and they also try to emulate them whenever possible. And so there's Kate uttering, mumbling something almost to the day, wearing the same outfit, talking about the early years, like that pays the rent. Well, it pays her rent, doesn't it? And of course, here's the real thing. There's Meghan on International Women's Day at whatever school that was, wearing that lovely outfit. And of course, that is not a scene that could. You guys remember when Meghan went up to the podium, she didn't have any prepared remarks. She just spoke from her heart. And it was more compelling than maybe, that little stuff she be doing. Way more compelling. Okay. And so right here, you guys, I am not going to go into this right now. Hopefully the Duchess of Success, Anne, will talk about this. I saw it, but let me tell you something. If you follow Christopher Bosey on social media, this will not disappoint. I may talk about it tomorrow, I'm not sure, but the Sun and the Mirror both had to pull stories because Trevor lied, and they found out he was using his YouTube channel to threaten people. This is your friend, huh? That's your friend, Trevor? Well, you guys, I did talk about Trevor this weekend, right? So actually, this one I did talk about. The other one, I'm sorry, the other one, did I put that here? No. The other one that I didn't talk about was about this troll that followed Angela Levin and a few other people. Oh my goodness. Have you guys seen it? Have you guys seen it? I didn't put a slide up here for that. But I did want to remind you guys about this one from the weekend. So not only did the Mirror take that story away, but the Sun also pulled the story off the internet, because in both cases they found out that the person that they were uplifting, this veteran of the British Army, was actually threatening Meghan and Harry, Rishi Sunak, and a few other people. All they had to do was Google his name. Let me see. Okay, let me take a look at some of your comments before I go on. Meghan can never be erased. Kate is mediocre by nature. She can never add up, no matter how much she tries, even adorned from head to toe in, what is that? Gaudiness. I wish that the Republic would point out the money that is being wasted by this whole early years stuff. I wish that they would start talking about the price of her clothes and all those things, because right now they're just focusing on Charles and even William. I get that. But Kate and Camilla, that's that flaunting of wealth during a period of austerity. If and so I'll say this, if you really want to make a case, start talking about the money. I mean, really start talking about the money. Don't just talk about how much of the sovereign grant is used to maintain the royal family. Start talking about the individual cost of things like the jewelry, the clothes, the state dinners. Be more specific, and more people will join the cause. So maybe it is true that it's just a false flag, or that it's just some conjured up scheme to make it look like there's dissent. That's probably what it is. Because if they really wanted to, I'll just say, go after these people, you would hit them where it hurts the worst, and that's in the pocket. Start talking about how much that stuff costs. I mean, individual things, not just royal protection. Put that on an orange placard or yellow placard. When the history is talked about and written in the next 20 years, there will be three women talked about in current British history: the Queen, Diana, and Meghan. Joyce boasts Meghan is not going to be written out of history. I know that for sure, because she is the moment, the most relevant royal that there is today. And everybody knows it. From Meghan is where all the wealth springs for the Rhoda. And because of Meghan, they may actually get some ratings for the coronation if she chooses to go. All of those things. And I'm very sure the Sussexes understand their value and worth and will act accordingly. So I don't suspect that they are just going to give and give and give for that occasion. You see, it's one thing when the Queen died, and at that point, you kind of had the upper hand because of a mourning period and the sudden loss of Harry's grandmother. But this is just an orchestrated ceremony that is going to cost too much and pleasure too few people. And so at this point, I would say that the Sussexes are in the driving seat, not the royal family. So if you want us to go, we need X, Y, and Z. Okay? And then we'll go. There will be they will be at the coronation. Then the booing begins. They will say the people was booing Harry and Meghan. Jocelyn, if they use the front door, if they are in that situation, and if they have people, because there will be booing, but it's not going to be reserved for any individual person. And if it's anything like the Commonwealth ceremony, I think it is going to be so much worse for Charles, Camilla, William, and Kate, because they already got booed at the Commonwealth. And so I'm sure that they're going to try to keep people out of earshot. But I tell you what, I told you I'm going to be on it, right? I'm not going to depend on the networks. I'm not depending on the pool camera and the BBC. I am planning to yank every situation I can from social media while it's available. Because you know what they'll do is they will try to remove that stuff from social media before it trends. But I believe with the YouTube shorts and TikTok and so on, Twitter, Instagram, they're not going to totally eliminate the booing for the rest of that family. And if I have anything to do with it, I am going to share it too. So rest assured that if there is any booing, there will be plenty booing to go around. I have no doubt about that. And don't forget about uh, don't forget about the egg persons. Don't forget about the eggs and lettuce and tomato. Now, I'm not advocating that anybody throws anything, but if history is any indication of what's possible, Coronation says, Baron, on the day of the wedding, a white man approached me and asked, "How do you feel about that one? About that one of you is a princess?" Really? You know, and because he asked that question, I am going to assume that it was more a question for himself and that he would hope that a woman of color felt that it was a bad idea or had something negative to say. Thank you so much. Cypher says, erasing image of Duchess of Sussex is the British royal family method of erasing people either enslaved and colonized or women. In other words, Catherine of Aragon and Boleyn. Ironically, Kate will be sidelined in history like other British royal family women. Yeah, should William decide that he wants to be with someone else, she too will be cast into oblivion. Same thing will happen to her. Yeah, and essentially everything comes after the crown. The crown became second to the queen, but then eventually, once Charles took over, I think the queen was considered non-essential personnel for the future of the crown, and just as so many other people were cast into obscurity, I think the same thing probably happened to the queen. I mean, does it make sense that the queen died last September and there's barely any mention of her? There's barely any mention. Outside of the month of September, there's barely any mention of Queen Elizabeth II. You would almost not even know she exists if you knew nothing about the royal family, which I find extraordinary. I find it very curious that it's as though she never was. The media, none of that stuff, just nothing. And what will really tell is what happens. Well, actually, her death would be Charles's accession day. So let's see what happens on accession day. Yeah, let's see what happens on accession day. I have not seen any reports from like the grave, any of that stuff. Nothing. No mention of, I guess there's just nothing. I'm thinking, I can't think of anything. It's like, and barely any mention in the tabloids, which is fascinating to me. Beverly says, I hope that there are some squatties that are going to be there in the midst of all of it and take it all down and put it on Twitter and Instagram. There will be. There will be. It doesn't have to be squatties. Trust me. There will be plenty said about all of that stuff. And you will see it real time. If you're on social media, you will see it real time. But yeah, I'm going to watch the coronation, and I am going to be on social media all day that day. Trust me. I am going to be on social media all day on May the 6th. So I want to see everything, especially that $1 million worth of jumbotrons that they put around for people to watch as a communal gathering. I want to see how that works out. Let me see. Elnora Howard says, omit name, please. Omit name, please. Charles III and Camilla, head of church. Imagine these adulterers leading a church, all time low. Harry and Meghan should impose Exodus. I'm not sure what that one is. If it's from Exodus, I'm sure it's pretty colorful though. But thank you so much for your comment. Okay, you guys, let me go on to this one then. Let me see. Akina on the left and Dean on the right from Invictus Team Nigeria off to Colorado for their first Invictus endeavor. This is a fantastic opportunity for them to join over 100, that is, other wounded, injured, and sick wounded, injured, and sick veterans using the power of winter sports to aid their recovery journey. Okay, I don't know if any of them have ever been to the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know if they've ever been to Colorado, the mile high city, because it is a mile high. But all I can say, bruh, is make sure that you layer because it's going to be cold in Colorado. Colorado, well, Denver in particular, is at a very high altitude. You know, they say when a plane lands in Denver, it doesn't just really land more than it parks, okay? The plane just parks, it doesn't land. So the altitude is high, the air is thin, and it's cold. So enjoy, bruh, enjoy. Let me see. Oh, we got 11 months. Thank you so much for the 11 months. Lorna, thank you. And Shelly L says, I'm looking forward to the song of the crickets in between the boos and the crowds. Oh, so you think there's going to be crickets for the coronation? I can see that, Shelly L. It will be. In between the boos, there's going to be a lot of silence. Coronation Day was a huge, huge disappointment. There was barely anybody there that wasn't a protester. And I suspect the balance of the people were just tourists. So, oh well. But anyway, thank you so much, Shelly L, for the super chat. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Oh, good. The most comprehensive constitutional reform worked to transfer Jamaica from a constitutional monarchy to a republic. Well, good. Very good. So it's happening. Thank you, I am. All right. So today, you guys, they celebrated Women's History Month at the White House. And I just want to remind you guys, and by the way, we're about to wind it down. So anybody who needs to get going, feel free to do so now because we're just going to wind it down with this. And after that, I am going to be done. So I don't want to keep you guys from your dinner or your sleep or anything else. Women's History Month is being celebrated, well, was celebrated at the White House. And of course, during the suffragette movement, there they are with their green, pink, and purple banners right there in front of the White House, the old executive mansion. What is that, circa 1910, 1909, something like that? There were the women trying to get the right to vote. And then fast forward to today, where the most powerful woman in the land, and that, of course, is Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, who is just a heartbeat away from being the leader of the free world. And there she is being sworn in as I think she was the 52nd Vice President. Somebody check that out for me. How many vice presidents? So we're on president number 46, and I think vice president number 52. So anyway, there's Kamala Harris being sworn in. Speaking of powerful women, hello, Ivy here. Ivy is here, you guys. Now that's power. Hello, Ivy. Ivy from Sussex Global, UK. And then if you go here, my other two favorite powerful women, um, Doria, the queen of everything, and Diana, our queen of hearts. And with that, you guys, thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex and many happy returns of the day. Thank you so much. Oh, okay, Chersonelli, I got you. And pin to the top of the chat. Oh, Sussex Strong Global News Channel. Okay. I thought they weren't posting anymore. You got the right one, Church Nelly. That's not Ivy. They haven't posted anything for a while. I'll do it. Let me see. Sussex Global UK. Okay, I got it. Yeah, that other one they haven't posted for a while, so I will get it myself. Thank you anyway, Church Nelly. So for Ivy's Sussex Global UK, oh, you got it, Church Nelly? Let me see. Hello, Ivy here. I love saying that. Hello, Ivy here. Bye for now. Bye from Ivy. Bye-bye. Okay, and okay, let me see what you got, Church Nelly. Did you do it right this time? There we go. Sussex Global UK, which, by the way, you guys, I am a proud member of Sussex Global UK. So please do go like and share, and most importantly, subscribe. Speaking of subscribe, subscribe is different from a membership. If you cannot afford a membership, don't worry about it. Your participation with your likes and shares and your subscribes is also extremely helpful to the success of the channel. So, under any circumstances, do never feel obliged to pay anything. Your presence is highly valuable. So, thank you very much. And with that, you guys, thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Keep the fire burning, you guys. Don't let them erase the memory of anyone that is near and dear to you, whether it's in your own personal lives or the Sussexes or anybody else for that matter, because that is what the enemy wants, is to try to erase their memory so that they can be unchallenged with their covert activities, if you will. They want to go unchallenged, but I won't let that happen, especially when it comes to our Duchess. So, okay, so that's it, you guys. And let's close out the last word today with hey, Anastasia. Let me see here. Okay. The Spanx is killing me. You know, after 6, the Spanx come off. The thing about Spanx is once they are off for the day, they're off for the day. When you come out of those Spanx, that means the day is done. And after that, if they can't take a joke, F them, right? Right. So there you go. All right. So I'm going to say, oh, have I been practicing? I have not. I have not. I'll show you guys what we're referencing about the anthem. Let me see here. Instead of God Save the King, there was an alternative anthem that was created on social media. There it is. God, that ungracious king, God, that ignoble king, God, save us from him. Charles the Notorious, reign starts inglorious. Keep him from over us, Lord, not that king. There you go. So that is the new version of the British national anthem. So I think that's what they're going to be singing outside of Westminster Abbey. Oh God, Camilla, did you hear them? They called me ungracious. Oh my God. And I hope those eggs are organic, Camilla. Oh my God, Camilla. Oh man. Yeah, I had fun yesterday, you guys, by the way. I had fun. It is going to be more and more interesting to see exactly how things unfold for this. You know what else I'm still trying to get over? Yesterday, when I tried to find mute woman, they actually muted half of that statement. When it gets to the part where she said, well, I'm sorry, when it gets to the part where she says she's an old-fashioned mute woman, they actually muted that. I could not believe it. And you know that was my go-to. Kate is an old-fashioned mute woman. Yeah, but they I did not know they could do that on Twitter. So the half of it is still there, but the other half, ironically, has been muted. I couldn't believe it. Well, when you know, right? Now we know that they can actually mute stuff like that. But as a wise woman once said, not so long ago, I think it was, about that very topic of the royal family, and I share this. She said,
I just don't get it. I don't get any of it.
What do you mean? You don't get what?
I don't get why we're so obsessed with these humans that are exactly the same. Like, it could be us four sitting there. I just don't get it.
But are you talking about what you mean as royals or as, like, Kim Kardashian? Because to me, they're becoming celebrities.
Well, to me, that's all they are.
The Queen is,
their celebrities.
For me, is brilliant.
I love the Queen.
No, duty, responsibility.
She's always worked really hard, hasn't
I would
she?
work hard if the whole country paid for me to have like 12 houses and work really hard.
They don't pay for all of the houses, but
just a few.
Yeah, so I just don't get it either. You know, since we're on the subject of national anthems, let me see if I can find another national anthem, shall I? So they could do that one for Charles. Let me see if I have something they can do for Camilla. Because, you know, since they are going to be co-rulers, right? Since they are going to co-rule the country, obviously, with... I suppose Camilla having the upper hand, I want to make sure that she's not left out. So if they're going to sing God Save the King, there's got to be something that they can sing for her. Let me see if I can find something for her. Oh, okay. I think this helps. Let me see. Are taking exception to. Okay. There we go. This is in no way reflecting anything from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. This is my own feelings being expressed the only way I know how. that's it for now. Please like, subscribe, share, donate, etc. If you would like to make a donation and you don't know how, to help support this channel, you can go to the comments section where you can find links to the Patreon, the PayPal, and the Cash App. Thanks for watching Royal Sussex. I miss those edited videos, the famous Royal Sussex ending. There we go. So I have found a perfect anthem fanfare for Her Majesty the Queen Consort, Queen Camilla. Something that will keep the memory of the People's Princess alive during that ceremony. So if there was just some way to get that on a megaphone or some type of public address system just in time as they make their exit from Buckingham. Just as they make their exit from Buckingham Palace en route to the Westminster Abbey. Now that would be grand. But since we know that that's not possible, just remember to hear that in your hearts as the state Bentley, well, actually, they're going to be in the golden carriage, the state carriage or whatever. The imperial carriage. Did they change the name of it? Yeah, so you'll have that to listen to. Anyway, you guys, that's it for today. Bye for now. Bye for Ivy. Bye-bye. Oh, okay. So let me see here. Yes, thank you, Cookies and Cream. And that's our last word for today. Everyone, please continue to pray for the Sussexes, each other, and the world. Thank you. All right, cue Ginger Avenger, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. I'm out.